The Enemy of My Enemy. Part 3. John taps a finger to the scars running from his hairline. One goes around his eye and down to his cheek, but the other two pass through the eyebrow and eye. It seems like pure luck that the eye itself was missed. We'd moved on into the city once the airport was secure. Cities were a slow, methodical process. If I could have chosen to deal with twice as many of Zach in just open country, or half as much in just cities, I'd take the countryside any day of the week. Funny thing, Zach didn't have anything to do with any of my injuries. This one was a lame-o we found in an apartment complex. Well, this guy was middle ground between lame-os and ferals. Only reason we lived through the crazy traps he'd set was because none of them ended up working. So he just dived at the first one of us he saw with blades on his hand like Freddy Krueger. Holding up one of his sizable arms, John points to a disfigured part of his bicep. This one was a quisling in a mall. How the hell does a quisling even get into a mall that isn't overrun by the real thing? I mean, usually you'd swear malls were rallying points for Zach. I thought I was done, you know? As soon as I put him down, my buddies couldn't do it. I was between them. I was so royally pissed off that I'd made it so long and just, well, I kicked it off. Nailed it with my Lobo with a good arm, and I noticed the blood right then. Knew I was fine, aside from bleeding so much I almost passed out before the medic patched me up. I was actually sent back once I got over that 1 minute. That one instant before you realize it was a fake. Well, that thing was a good imitation because he took a whole chunk out. Anyway, I was out of action from it. I went back, though, as soon as they let me. New York was in sight by then. Never saw another G, though. Why is that? John is visibly disturbed by this question. He pulls one knee up and hugs it, looking at the floor next to his sneaker as he talks. I'd done such a good job, you know? Not as a soldier. We were all damn good. I wasn't the best, but I didn't need to be. I went for so long without thinking of everyone I'd lost. I just wanted to keep it all behind me, move forward, because it was all I could do for them now. Me living to remember them was the only monument they had. Oh, there have been monuments for the dead, but those have never made me feel better. Knowing someone, carrying them with you, that's the only way to really preserve them in some way. It was a day like any other. We were feeling pretty good about ourselves. I don't remember what I thought when the smell hit me. It was just perfume. Something caught while it was being shipped. The whole damn shipment probably busted. I thought of my girlfriend. I could swear it was the perfume she used to wear, even though I couldn't remember that at all. It was the first time I thought of her in I don't know how long, and that was what sent me over the edge. I hadn't just moved on. I'd forgotten what it was like to hold her close and smell that perfume, or to give my dad a hug. I'd lived on, staying sane by pretending none of it mattered. That was my Section 8 right there. Army's not going to keep around some guy who breaks down crying. Doesn't matter if it's for Iraq or for Zach. Maybe I even had a little bias in my direction. Can't say I'd blame him. It's just not good for morale. Movies taught us all the smaller guys are the ones who break down. You expect that. It's the roles of the others to help them get through it. It hurts people to watch someone twice their size lose it. If the guy with the squad's highest kill count and the running for the battalion's record can't keep it together, what do the others think it says about themselves? But didn't a lot of soldiers have their own moments? Wasn't it expected? Yeah, we had shrinks traveling with us just to make sure those moments didn't pile up, too. I wasn't having a moment, though. When I said I broke down, I mean I broke down. I couldn't stop. I didn't even realize anyone else was there after a while. They had me in a tent on suicide watch. I was that bad. I never did anything like that, but I was such a wreck. I don't think they really thought I would hurt myself, just that it wouldn't be a surprise. I don't know how much time passed. I was laying on my cot all curled up. My eyes felt sore. I was crying for so long. I cried so hard I wore myself out and fell asleep not long after they dropped me there. Then Taker walks in. I don't know how he found the time to get there before I was officially discharged, but he did. I was talking to a psychiatrist at the time, and he just walked in. They were telling me they'd found my brother and my father. They were alive and well in Nevada. We'd just never run into each other. They'd found them almost as soon as they started looking. It was supposed to make me feel better, but I was so far gone I couldn't process it like that. That made it worse, of course. I knew I should have been happy. I thought it didn't make me happy because it wasn't the whole family. I had to have a reason for why I wasn't excited. I couldn't accept that I was just numb from shock. That was the only reason I could think of. It wasn't a very good reason. Taker asked my shrink to leave, and he didn't sit down. He just stared at me. Still had that damned smile on his face, the one that scared me. Technically, I should have gotten up. I was still a soldier. He was my superior. I couldn't find it in me to care. He says to me, and this was so fucked up because that look on his face just shouldn't have been comforting, and it was very much. He says to me, "It's all right, John. You're only human." I started crying again, but I remember feeling different. Like I was crying just to let it out this time, just to get it out of my system. So he hugs me close. Sometimes I wish I could have gotten a picture of that. I'm sitting down, I'm already shorter than him, and he's hugging my head tight to himself. It must have been quite a sight. Later, when they told me about his kids, I thought, oh God, was I like a surrogate for him? What would that even mean? I decided it didn't matter. If he needed that, so be it. If that was what he needed to be who he was, to be the scariest motherfucker this side of the undead, then let him have it. I figured out why the crowd still loves him. Why I couldn't help but think of him as inhuman. It's because he's not Zack. How can you hate something scarier than a shambling, moaning ghoul when it's on your side? After all the world went through, he'd managed to hold it together better than most people who lost nothing worse than their stuff. I went back to Cali. And then I found my dad and my brother after I had a few days to myself. They told me about the farm, how they'd made the mistake of fighting the losing battle, lost almost everyone, and I was numb about it. Still am to this day. I have what I have, and I'm thankful for it. I mean, I'll appreciate having them, just this one small amount of what I thought had been gone forever. I mean, I'll never, ever take it for granted. I told them a lot of what had happened to me, how it ended up there and doing what. I didn't tell them why I wasn't in the army anymore, but they knew it was something bad. I couldn't even hide it when I was saying it, but they never asked. John checks his watch and then takes it off. As he continues talking, he gets dressed for his performance, which was a simple matter of a baseball jersey and hat, knee pads pulled from his rucksack, and his dog tags. So I went back to work, and every week things went a little more uphill. After VA Day, you'd swear things were getting better by the day. Soon I was teaching people how to keep healthy just so they wouldn't be a burden on resources, and mostly for their own good, rather than just for survival. When Taker and Ray got discharged, we started putting on shows again. It was slow going, but Vince's daughter jumped right in when we started producing enough audience and ticket sales to start expanding. She takes care of the business. We put on the shows, scout new talent, and we make people feel like it's pre-war from the time they sit to the time they leave. Not that I think it's all good. I mean, a lot of the aspects of pre-war society are what got us into this mess after all. I like to think we don't make people yearn for it. We just provide an entertaining slice of history. We're pretty sure we'll be on TV again sometime next year once the airwaves are more on their feet and they have time slots without much to go in them. He stands and cracks his knuckles. Well, guess that's all I have to say. Enjoy the show, all right? John escorts me out of the backstage area. As a courtesy, I've been given a single ringside ticket to the show. John's match against The Undertaker is the main event. Although both wrestlers are currently written as good guys, John loses when The Undertaker drops him on his head and crosses his arms over his chest. His eyes are rolled back in a look that most certainly resembles many a living dead. But the crowd cheers. A distinctive sign being held up near my seat reads, R.I.P. Zack. Long live Taker.